We are joined right now by Bennett Foddy, a game developer whose reputation precedes him quite a bit. You're behind the infamously difficult games like QWOP and GURP and Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy, and you have a new game you've been working on called Baby Steps, which tell us about Baby Steps.
All right. Well, Baby Steps is a game where you go for a hike, except unlike most video games where you walk around or go for a hike up a mountain or anything like that. In this case, you have to move his feet manually, one foot and then the other, and you're using the triggers to lift his feet and the left stick to move him around. And so, starts out pretty simple, but it gets more and more complicated and deep as the game progresses. And it's a story about a guy who does know how to walk, but he's a little confused about where he is and maybe not best prepared for a big outdoor hike.
He definitely didn't dress for the occasion.
That's right. Yeah.
I actually, back in GDC March of this year, we chatted a bit about Baby Steps, and I got to play it for a bit. That had me going up mountains. There was like a destroyed carnival I saw remnants of. You guys just had a trailer for Breast Milk Slide, like a breast milk slide trailer that you just released recently. What else can we kind of expect? Whatever kind of location can we expect to see Nate go?
Well, he's headed up a mountain. It's about the size and steepness of Everest, sort of give or take. And he goes through quite a few different locations on the way. There's a deserty area, sort of sandy area. There is a kind of a rapid river and a canyon, that kind of stuff. But as you walk through the game, you're getting more of an idea, or you start to put together a bit of a mystery about how did it come to be like this, kind of a fantastical environment. Who are the people who live here, and how did they come to be here? And we tell that a little bit through cutscenes and a little bit through just looking around and exploring as you play.
Now, early on, you meet a character who makes a joke about going to some poison swamps, which immediately brings to mind another game developer known for making difficult games, which is Hidetaka Miyazaki at FromSoft. Was that mentality at all an inspiration here? Is this, I guess, the headline I really want to go for is this the Dark Souls of walking simulators?
I don't think that's too far off, actually. We're big fans of the Souls games. And, we had to work a little bit to keep the sort of crestfallen knight character out of this game, is because the kind of thing that you're doing is venturing off into a difficult, potentially poison environment, has a little bit of that flavor of the sort of indifferent and uncaring world, and that you're trying to understand and contend with. I think that is a little bit of the spirit of those games, and we do have a kind of a kinship with Miyazaki's games, and so Poison Swamp's a little hat tip.
Love it.
To his kink, which is adding poison swamps to everything.
So obviously, the challenge here is just getting up a hill. Like it's a fairly rudimentary thing, but it's easy to comprehend, but extremely difficult to actually pull off. Are there any fail states aside from just falling down? Like, can you die?
You can't die. He can experience pain, but he can't be hurt. So it's one of the mysteries of the world that he's in as to why that's the case. But yeah, there are places where you can fall and lose progress. I haven't completely given up on designing bits of level design that do that. I do think the most punishing areas in the game, the ones that do send you back, have mostly been designed by Gabe instead of by me. But I will take the heat from people, where people will assume that was me. But no, it's friendlier than some of my previous work. I would say we try to make sure that anything that's sort of punishing or tough or involving risk is stuff that you're opting into. And the thing that having a big open 3D world opens up for us is that you can chart a course. You can look around and see something and kind of walk toward that. You can figure out where the easy paths are, and you can go for them if that's what you want. Or if Poison Swamp is more your vibe, you can actually kind of gravitate toward that. And we have stuff that is really diabolical for people who like that kind of play.
So, obviously, like Max said, it's the point of the game, and you said as well, the point is getting A to B, getting to the top of the mountain. What are some of the other things we'll be doing as we're climbing this mountain? Because there's a few little side things that I picked up while I was playing back in that early demo.
Yeah, there is a ton of stuff. I mean, what we try to do is present you with a nice, easy, friendly path. There's stairs and like nothing too treacherous, and then tempt you off with sort of interesting things. There's a lot of little side activities. There's characters to meet. There's mysteries to be provoked. In this case, I think you're seeing in the gameplay. Sometimes we just do something simple, like a little pile of cans that you can try to kick over. Maybe it's not as easy as that sounds. But we've packed an enormous amount of secret stuff. I think that probably is the spirit of Baby Steps. Is it's sort of keep it fairly simple on the path, and then through the mist, like off in the distance, maybe you start to see something, and you're kind of curious about what it is. But you're worried that if you go over there, you're not going to be able to get back. That's the core experience we want you to have while you're playing. To kind of look and think, can I do that? And then
that.
get yourself into trouble a little bit. Yeah.
That's like the infamous like Todd Howard like Skyrim thing. Like, you see that mountain, you can climb that, and you've got that. Except the question is, can you climb that? Like physically yourself, are you capable of that?
Right.
I want to talk about balancing difficulty with enticement, because the challenge is core to the game, but I feel like your previous games have been they're. The challenge is the game, but in this case, you've got a story, you've got like optional objectives. How did you find that sweet spot between making a game that is accessible and not so punishing that people just completely bounce off it, while still kind of really making it an uphill battle?
Well, I mean, it's about having layers, I guess, is the way that we've approached it. And we've been working on this for close to 6 years, and it's just been a lot of time to have ideas and put them in. Sometimes we kind of pave over the top of those ideas, and there's just a tiny little kind of piece of it that's still there. But there's just a lot of different levels that you can be playing at. And you can just, if you love the cutscenes, you can just kind of bomb through the game. It takes about eight hours, more, give or take. But if you're exploring, it's just a lot bigger than that. And so hopefully that means that it's kind of tailoring itself to how you're feeling at a certain point. I was getting a playtest from Tyler Glayal, who's working on Mugenics at the moment. And he was going very slow. He was doing everything until about 2/3 of the way through the game. And then the rage got him a little bit. And from that point forward, he was like, no, just easy stuff from here on out. So it a little bit allows you to kind of tune it for how you're feeling at the time.
That's excellent. Which of your previous games do you think Baby Steps has the most in common with?
Well, I mean, I think it's kind of like a fusion of a bunch of the different stuff that I've worked on in a certain way. I think previous game that I worked on was Ape Out with Gabe and Maxi, and Gabe's the author of the incredibly complicated and high-tech and deep walking system on this game. And he was, I think, a little inspired to try to make something that was in his style, which is kind of direct, kind of immediate arcade controls, but like his take on QWOP, I guess, is sort of how he's thinking about it. So it's got something in common with QWOP. It's got a little bit, I mean, I just like Miyazaki and his Poison Swamps. I obviously have become... at some point, I got twisted and started to fall in love with really, really tough level design, and it's got a little bit of that in it. So there's some getting over it in here for sure, and I think getting over it fans will be able to tune it to a level that is challenging for them. But yeah, there's a little bit of all of it kind of coming together, and it's this. By far and away the longest that I've worked on a project, either by myself or in collaboration. And so it just has more ideas, and it's, of course, you wind up going back and revisiting stuff that's from old work. But to me, this is a kind of a fusion of lots of different things that I've done.
So about 6 years ago, a little game came out called Death Stranding. Was that at all an influence here, or did you kind of look at what Kojima was doing and apply anything from that?
Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of overt references to Death Stranding in this game. We love that game. It was a huge influence, and it came out at exactly the right time while we were in the middle of prototyping this, and so it was in the water. I love Kojima's sense of humor. I love the kind of physicsy parts of Death Stranding, where you're trying to lift a ridiculously large stack of boxes. So it's in that genre, right? We're kind of, in a little way, it's a love letter to Death Stranding and to other AAA games that we've loved over the years. There's a little bit of Uncharted in here. There's a little bit of maybe more than a little bit. There's a little bit of Death Stranding. There's a little bit of even things like Assassin's Creed, all of that stuff. I love those games, and I play them all the time. But this is how our team would approach that problem, that set of problems.
I was going to ask you about your inspirations, but I'm trying to figure out what the Uncharted like inspiration is. I guess it's something I'll have to wait to see more.
Probably just falling down a hill,
I guess.
I feel like I've made Nate do that a few times, except the difference is, like, there it's like you're like, wah, 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 Nate, no, and in this case you just hear, well, Nate just go, oh crap.
Yeah. No, I'm such a deep lover of those Uncharted games. It's just kind of it's a fandom that is going to last me my whole life. So I'm sure that shows through a little bit.
Is that where Nate got his name from?
It's just a pure coincidence.
Okay.
There's absolutely no correspondence intended.
Do you have any tips for baby steps?
Yeah, let's see. The things that I would say are people forget that the triggers on their controllers are analog buttons. We use the full range of it, which is pretty rare. I think actually, driving games like Gran Turismo will use them as analog buttons, but most of the time you're just being asked to just press a trigger all the way in or whatever. His feet go higher the more that you press in the trigger. And sometimes you need to kind of just soft trigger. Give that a little bit of practice. And practice soft sticking as well, because when you're trying to be careful, you want his foot to go as slow and as precise as you can. It takes a gentle touch. I would say supple wrist, soft hands. That's how I approach
Watch your
steps.
Yeah. You said this has been in development for 6 years. Obviously, the development landscape has kind of changed over the last 6 years. We've seen games obviously taking longer. What are some of the things that you were able to do with baby steps that you just weren't able to do in some of your previous games?
Well, full 3D is the big one. I'm lucky enough to have talented collaborators who are able to do the kinds of programming and mathematics that I'm not able to do. But also filling a 3D world is just a ton of work. So moving away from sort of solo development into working with collaborators has kind of unlocked a higher level of scope. And I guess it's natural. Indie game developers tend to take on something a little bit more each time. So it's just experience and a little bit of know-how, knowing what to do and what not to do, where to find speed. We're a little bit insulated from the economic problems that the industry as a whole is having, just because our team is so small, right? So our overheads are low. And, interest rates, the movements of the stock market, not that relevant to us. So we were able to really take our time with this and get it to where we wanted it to be.
Nice.
Would you ever consider doing like a level designer so that people can just make their own swamps?
Oh, I would love to. Yeah, maybe. I mean, if there's interest, we'll definitely talk about it. Yeah, I think it wouldn't be super simple given the amount of fidelity. I mean, we're not anything like as kind of high fidelity as a AAA game is. As the AAA games that we're trying to kind of reference and evoke. But there's still just so much work goes into making outdoor environments of this type. But I would love it. There's nothing I would love more than to be able to play user developed maps. And I'm sure the modding scene, I mean, even for our demo, actually, the modders are already kind of out in force. There was somebody who made a functional multiplayer mod already. So, you can't hold modders down.
I love that. So the Hollow Knight Silksong announcement got you guys bumped, and you very quickly pivoted and put out easily the funniest delay announcement we've gotten, which was Nate navigating Hollow Knight, just the full on just
Hornet, yeah,
just in the world.
Yeah.
How did that come together? And I guess who was driving? Because that was some impressive walk in there.
That would have been Gabe's performance. He's second best player of the game. And so, yeah, he was recording and directing and performing that all in one go. We did that pretty fast, actually. We needed to get a rapid turnaround because they really did surprise everybody with that release date. And more power to them. That's been an incredible launch against probably more pressure than indie game developers have ever been under in the history of indie games. So, I have nothing but respect for that team. It did obviously send a little bit of chaos through the halls of other people who were seeking to release at the same time, but that can happen with anything. So it was all good with us.
Oh my goodness, I lost my words. But talking about the modding scene and being able to player created levels being something you'd like to do, what in the game are you hoping that players are going to obsess over or spend a lot of time doing
as players?
Yeah, what are you hoping that is there anything in the game that you can share that you just really hope players are just going to be drawn to, and just that's going to be kind of I put a lot of time and effort into this, I really hope players dig this thing?
There's so many of these things, to be honest with you, but
okay.
I hope that by the time people are done playing Baby Steps, they have as much appreciation for the precise placement and rotation of a rock as I have. And I'm sure that people will try to kind of go for the big kind of landmarks and try to get the sort of the collectible objects and all of that stuff in the game. And I really I'm looking forward to seeing people doing that. But I want them to go for the unrewarding challenges as well. I would love to see people, if they see a pile of cans on top of an unassuming looking rock, I'd love to see them trying to kick those down. I'd love to see them climbing a rock that hasn't got anything on it. More than anything else, that's what I want to see people doing, is just to start to be like, oh no, I have to get on top of that just because it's there. That's how I play the game, and I would love to see people doing that as well.
The game kind of reminds me of trying to flip a water bottle and have it land on its bottom. It's got that same level of exactly what you need to happen, but physics isn't letting it happen, and it's there's something kind of weirdly I almost got it, I'm gonna try again. What's the fastest anyone's completed this?
Well, we have there's a speedrun achievement. I think the fastest that we've done it is maybe 3 hours. I'm going to say we've had some kind of problems in cases where we tried to speedrun it and started to get tilted and it fell apart right at the end. But I think speedrunners will be able to have a bit of a field day with this game. There's we don't do much to put hard blocks in. There's no invisible walls. There are some cases where you're bottlenecked to see an important story cutscene, but even there, I think people will find skips, because it's really just everything is as you see it, right? Like if you see a rock and you think that you probably can climb it, probably you can if you are good enough. And you do see players as they're starting to play it, they get this sense of kind of I've slipped 20 times on this rock, but I just know I got enough of an indication that I can probably get in there. And by the time that you manage to get 1 foot on top of a cliff or a rock or whatever it might be, odds are pretty good that you actually can do it. So yeah, I think it's normal to see people be like, right, I've decided that rock is for me. I know there's other ways I can go. Like there's always in baby steps, there's always somewhere else you can go instead of like retrying something, or almost always. But people start to like, once the pride starts to hit, like they start to be
I just realized how excited I am to watch people speedrun this. Like I feel like seeing this on GDQ is going to be insane because you get people who practice all they want, but if they're like, one iota of a pixel off on a slippery, wet rock, suddenly that entire thing goes, downhill.
That's true, yeah. There's not a lot of RNG though. Like, I mean, if it looks like there's kind of randomness, no, it's pretty, the physics is pretty solid and reliable. And so, I mean, I hope people will feel like if they choked and fell off, that's on them.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it, though. It's like it's not, I love that you're like, there's no invisible walls. It's not just, it's just on you. You've got to get there.
Yeah, exactly. Just don't get tilted. That's the whatever you do, don't get tilted.
What is the time limit for the speedrun trophy? What is that set for?
I guess it's going to show up as a non-hidden trophy, so I can tell you. I think we have it at 90 minutes at the moment.
Really?
But that is a hard achievement to get.
Yeah.
All right, Jada, you're up.
I'll be impressed.
No. This is I am not, speedrunning is like one of the one things that keep me from doing platinum trophies in games. So this will probably be one I don't pick up the platinum on because I am not a speedrunner by trade. I'm a completionist. I want to see everything and spend 100 hours in every world. Climb every rock like Bennett.
Bennett, is there anything in this game that you just flat out don't expect people to be able to do, or is it all achievable?
There's stuff I can't do, except using cheats and doing it piece by piece. And then there's probably stuff in there that we don't even realize people are going to try to do. I mean, that's actually one of the things that's fallen out of this, is sometimes we've just built something to look a certain way, or to kind of funnel you through certain movement, to give you a kind of line of sight to the next checkpoint or whatever it is. And just in placing rocks that way, we've wound up creating by accident some kind of interesting challenge. And so the hardest stuff in there is going to be stuff that's not intended to be doable, but that people are going to do anyway. We already saw that with the demo. We've got cliffs that we think are completely impassable, like sheer cliffs. And we've got people on the Discord saying, oh no, I climbed that. It took me 12 hours, but I got up that thing. Amazing.
What's the worst surface? Like, what's the most slippery surface? What's the most challenging, I guess, for you personally, or across the
There's
team?
mud. So the mud is your enemy in this game. You've got to look out for the slippery mud. That's so much more slippery than everything else. And if you really if you're exploring in this game, maybe you'll find a little bit of ice, which is even more slippery again. But the mud, that's really your nemesis when you're playing baby steps.
Bennett, is there anything we haven't brought up that you want to bring up about baby steps? Anything on your mind about the game that you want the people out there to know?
Well, it's a good question. No, I mean, I think the game, it's full of mystery. Some of the mysteries are going to be solved for you when you play it. Some of them you're going to be inventing your own head canon for a long time. And I'm looking forward to seeing people kind of theory crafting about what's going on. There's a interesting backstory we don't totally tell, and the game is I think, like I said, it's like full of layers, like an onion. And I just hope people are take the same joy from kind of unwrapping those layers that we've felt in putting it together, because this has really been a labor of love over like I said, like 6 years. And I'm so psyched to get this out there. I really want to see people playing it. I want to see all the different ways people play it. Some folks are going to kind of bomb through by themselves. Some people are going to be hot seating with their friends, which we've seen with our play testers is a really fun way to play it. Some people will race their friends, maybe over Discord or on the phone. all of those things, it supports all of that because it's got a lot of freedom, I think, much more so than a lot of comparable games. I mean, I just think like there's a kind of a level of focus and a level of freedom you can give to the player that is just sort of the sole province of small teams making games of this sort. And so I hope people, this is a game of strong flavors. It's a game of unusual flavors, and I hope that people are going to find that cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. One last thing I have to ask, because Horizon did the Zero Dawn, was it Zero Dawn or Forbidden West? One of the two. I think it was Forbidden West did, where you could have two players controlling the same character with two separate controllers. Is that something you guys have thought about for Nate?
I have thought about that. I actually haven't tried it. I bet that just works anyway because we didn't turn it off. But that is, by the way, the best way to play Horizon Zero Dawn. If you're looking for a Baby Steps-esque experience, then 2-player Horizon Forbidden West is really kind of close to the flavor. Actually,
if you and your roommate get along too well, or you and your significant other don't have any things to argue about, it's a great way to just get started there. Well, Bennett, thank you so much. This looks awesome. I really do think this is the FromSoft DNA is front and center. People always say something is like a Souls-like when it's just hard, but I feel like the fact that you're letting players actually figure things out for themselves, which is that's really fun. That's really cool, and I'm dying and also dreading falling down more hills in Baby Steps. Baby Steps is out on PS5 and PC on September 23rd, so keep an eye out.
Hey, thanks for watching this clip from Beyond, IGN's weekly PlayStation show. You can find the full episode over on youtube.com/IGN Games. And don't forget, new episodes of Beyond drop every Wednesday on IGN.com, the IGN Games YouTube, and all your favorite podcast platforms. Thanks again for watching, and as always, Beyond.